You can't fake frequency.
Yeah.
And, horses know that. And they'd rather you just go, I'm not good. you know, I could
Right.
really use a dose of this today and be authentic and real. And I think so many of us have been taught to wear these masks. I always felt, why me? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, why do they have people to tuck them in at night? Why do they have Sunday dinner? Why do they have a pool? And we were poor, dirty, and I had no mother. I just remember thinking, like,
Mhm.
why wouldn't someone want to come over and like help my grandmother? She couldn't walk. Like, why didn't somebody just cut the grass or, and then I just know that they were just scared, just like I was scared. I got into so many relationships, and I know they were my greatest teachers. I really believe they came in and said, I'll take her and I'll make her feel so like crap that she's going to get it. And I didn't get it for a long time.
There are healers on this planet with the power to soften the suffering of mankind, yet they have remained in the recesses of the world, abused, discarded, and labeled as trash. This is The Touch of a Mustang. I am your host, Shalise Clough, and I'm here to tell the story of wild horses, Mustangs, and the humans who are discovering and sharing their gifts while working to protect their well-being and preserve their spirit so this divine power won't be lost. Join us on this quest with the Wild Mustang.
I am a medical board certified massage therapist for over 25 years, nationally board certified. I'm also a Reiki master teacher. Um, I've trained with Dr. Wayne Dyer, um, Marianne Williamson, um, Tony Robbins, Carolyn Mace, directly. And they've been
Wow.
extreme teachers in my life. Um, and before I got into massage, I was a national champion in Northern Shaolin Kung Fu. So it was so interesting. I didn't get into massage until my 40s, and I was in my 20s when I was in martial arts. And when I got into massage, I just realized that I was just doing martial arts, moving chi, moving energy, moving blood fluid and oxygen, kind of pouring instead of pushing. Because when you do kung fu, it's not forceful. You kind of step out of the way of energy. You don't use you don't lose any energy over it. You're just like, and it kind of goes past you unless you have to, So
Mhm.
when you learn that way to bring it through you, what you want to do and get out of your own way and not from you, you don't get exhausted. I've met a lot of therapists that, they're tired afterwards, or they don't, their careers kind of aren't very long because their hands, they're just getting burned out. And when you really
Right.
learn how to ground yourself and bring it through you and use your body mechanics, um, it's, you normally don't. I usually get tired if my ego gets involved. And that's when I'm thinking, oh, I'm
Interesting.
doing this,
Mhm.
but I'm not doing it. It is coming through me. It is a divine connection, whatever people want to call it, white light, energy, God, um, anything that is higher than yourself. When you can really just be still and allow it to flow, it's like a matrix. You're just in it. And when you kind of try to control it, that's when you're not really letting it come through. And I think it's the same with the horses. They know, like you said, they don't live in the past, they don't live in the future, they're always present. And they know, like, I know, say, somebody's upset and they're like, no, I'm good, I'm good. They're not good. You can't fake frequency.
Yeah.
And, horses know that. And they'd rather you just go, I'm not good. you know, I could
Right.
really use a dose of this today and be authentic and real. And I think so many of us have been taught to wear these masks, um, and hide, um, so that we don't have to feel vulnerable. but that's a superpower, really, to just be truthful, not in a way where you're like constantly needy, but to just ask for help, you know, or share your story because so many people think they're alone in it. They don't really know that um, it's just not only them. My mom, I'm going to be 70, so over all those years ago, they didn't really have mental health stuff. They drank a lot of alcohol usually to numb it back then, I believe, and things like that. They didn't have programs or the support that a lot of us have today. And they didn't know about premenopause or postpartum depression or anything like that, grief. And she was in her 40s, and she got pregnant with me. And my dad, um, I was born on November 8th, but my dad died on November 4th. So 4 days before I was born, he had a cerebral hemorrhage. And so I never met my dad. So my mom, being fully pregnant back in that time, just it was so much on her. Like, I just don't think she handled it. She was a woman who spoke 7 different languages. She played every musical instrument, traveled all over the country with Fred Astaire and Gene Krupa. You're probably too young to know them, but um
Mm. I've heard of
and
Fred
taught
Astaire.
taught the blind braille. I mean, and then she couldn't
Mm,
even herself. She didn't speak for 25 years. She just stared. She just checked out. She just didn't know how to handle it. I
wow.
don't know if there was a disconnect that happened. And so I never really knew
And
either
this
one of
was
them.
right after you were born,
Shortly
or
after.
right around the time you were born? Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. But her mother,
And so the mother you knew growing up was someone totally different than how she'd live the rest of her life.
yes. Yeah. And that was really hard to I really wish I could have known her. I'm sure that, she was an incredible person. But I don't know, I think when you have that and you lose it, it's probably harder, I would think, because I didn't know anything
Hmm.
else. You know,
Yeah.
I always felt, why me? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, why do they have people to tuck them in at night? Why do they have Sunday dinner? Why do they have a pool? And we were poor, dirty, and I had no mother. My grandmother, her mother, was an invalid, couldn't walk, was in a wheelchair, but very smart and very wise. And the state let her keep me. There was not much of a child welfare system or DIFUS or anything back then. So she raised me. But most of the time, like, you're in survival mode because, when you can get outside, there's nobody really to watch you or call you in or come after you or anything. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I just kind of grew up very hyper vigilant, and my intuition kind of built because I just needed to be safe. And I never really got into drugs or alcohol because I never wanted to be out of control. So I thought, "Oh my god,
Mm.
what if I drink and I don't know where I am or where all my friends would be doing it, but I just never did."
It
So
sounds
that
like you almost raised yourself.
well, there were so many wonderful angels that came through, honestly. Like, there was always
Hmm.
someone that, just helped somehow. Like, even I remember getting a waitress job when I was 15 years old, and you had to be 16 because you have working papers. And every time they'd ask me, I'd just leave and go to another diner until I got to be 16.
Hmm.
But you could be having a bad day, and somebody would come in with just a great message. They wouldn't even know they were telling you, and just change your whole day. Um, there were times that were very hard, and I got pregnant when I was 15. I had a boyfriend. I wasn't a promiscuous child. I just wanted so badly to have a family and like the other kids. And of course we were children. We didn't know anything. So we didn't really
Yeah.
um know what we were doing, and we got married for all the wrong reasons. So we were apart more than we were together. But we got divorced after 8 years of really not being together. And my daughter turned out wonderful. I mean, I worked a lot. I worked 2 or 3 jobs, but I always had a great person that she stayed with that had 5 other kids. And she's a NICU nurse. She's happily married. She's 50 some
Oh,
years
wow.
old. We have 3 great grandchildren. So I don't think we're that fragile, you know?
Mm,
Think that I think that we have this inner strength if we can tap into it, if we can use the tools, which all these healing tools with these horses are so important. I mean, I've seen them with people that were ready to give up. I mean, absolutely wanted to
yeah.
commit suicide, God forbid. And they worked
Mhm.
with them for a few weeks and they were totally changed their life, totally changed their life and are doing great. They're thriving, with these animals, these beautiful.
Yeah. There are a lot of stories out there about how they have helped people in just that way, where people just were at a point of complete hopelessness and desperation and were able to somehow connect with a horse and absolutely turn their life around. And, I love the point you made that we aren't as fragile as we sometimes tell ourselves that we are, you know? I think, yes, in a way we're fragile, but also in so many other ways, we have a deep, deep resiliency as human beings to overcome really challenging things. And like, as your story perfectly highlights, everything that you would say a child needs, and you didn't have a lot of it, and yet still here you are doing good things, giving back to the world with children who are thriving. So what a beautiful example of that.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I did go through a lot of 10 to zeros, learning because I had big abandonment issues and
Oh,
um
yeah.
and shame, which is very different than guilt. Like guilt is I made a mistake and shame is I am a mistake. And when you feel so different than anybody and um you don't really have a lot or know a lot, sometimes. And I learn very differently because I really didn't have even a reference point of it. I think like just someone helping me with homework or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
but but I just learn more in a knowing way. It's interesting. Like I'm not the greatest grammar or speller, even though I've tried many times. I just don't. I
Yeah.
don't know how. But when I went to massage school, it was like A plus, A plus, A plus. It was like a download. Like I don't, I know I wasn't just the one doing it. I was being helped. And and I loved it. And it was just so and it's the same with the horses and the Reiki, and sometimes you think, oh gosh, really like how am I really this? Like am I doing this? Or is it imposter syndrome? Like, how do I know? And you kind of get insecure about it. But every time I do, like somebody will just come and they'll just tell me how much, their session was changing them and how it unravels, because it's like an onion, sometimes you can get a lot of change in the first session. But normally, it takes time. It didn't happen overnight and it doesn't go away overnight. But so much of it is learned behavior and the body keeping score of, you know, um, trying to go, oh, you can't change this. This is how we've always been. This is our normal. But it's really not your true nature. It's how you've learned how to
Mm,
survive.
mhm.
And when you can work with the body and help it self regulate. And, even when you heal, like I have triggers at times, but I don't live there. I feel it,
Mm,
and of course we have emotions. We get angry, we get sad, we should use them. To deny them is stuffing it, you know, but
right, yeah.
you feel it And then you go, "You know what? That's a lie. It's not me. This is my path and this is the way I'm going." And that's how it's been for me. That is not my path. I remember growing up and thinking, God, this is not my path. Like I remember like not having food and our house, like people wanting to tear it down because the neighborhood, it just made their houses, you know, look bad or whatever. And I just remember thinking, like,
Mhm.
why wouldn't someone want to come over and like help my grandmother? She couldn't walk. Like, why didn't somebody just cut the grass or, and then I just know that they were just scared, just like I was scared. They think differently. When people have fear, they think differently. And
Yeah,
when
that's
you can
true.
rebalance your system, you start to think differently, because when you're all off balance and your meridians are all your chi or your ki, whatever, it's ki in Japanese, it's chi in Chinese. Um, when it is off, all your organs are affected. So your spinal fluid, everything, all your energy is not moving right. And you do feel fatigued, you do feel insecure, you do think things are saying different. Like, the throat is about communication, but it's really about hearing. You could be walking down the street with your friend and someone will say something to you, and then you guys will start walking away, and she'll say, "Did you hear what she said?" And you'll go, "What? That's not what she said," because you hear it differently. She might hear it like
Mhm.
because she's not in a great place, and she'll take it in a very different way that it's said. But when you can realign, you're just like, this is not right. You just don't see it that way. You see it in the highest way you can. And it has
Mm.
nothing to do with you, nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
It's wherever they are.
Tell us a little bit more about that process of moving from this child who felt abandoned and neglected and could see the other children and what they had and knowing that you didn't have that and all the things that came with that struggle. How did you move from that into a place where you are now helping others to heal and find a better way of living in the world?
Um, lots of work. I mean, I was a seeker, I wanted to feel better. I didn't want to allow emotional abuse. I got into so many relationships, and I know they were my greatest teachers. I really believe they came in and said, "I'll take her and I'll make her feel so like crap that she's going to get it." And I didn't get it for a long time. I didn't. And I went and I studied with Tony Robbins, almost 30 years ago. And honestly, I haven't been back, and I know he's still on fire, but I still quote him. I think he's one of the greatest teachers around. He is so giving. Like your thing is supposed to be over at 9 o'clock. He will go till 2 in the morning until he gets somebody. Just the things that he teaches. And Wayne Dyer, Dr. Wayne Dyer, just all the things, the power of intention, and just all of his quotes and listening to him and studying with him. Marianne Williamson, knowing Course in Miracles, how nothing real is ever threatened, you know, um, what you resist persists, and what you look at disappears. So much of us don't want to look at what we're feeling or to believe that or to think we're worthy and we're this amazing human being. There's only one of us, and we're here for a purpose. And if we weren't, we'd be gone. Our journey's not over. And so I studied a lot, but most of my lessons came from abusive relationships. When I finally had enough, and I just was like, you do not get to treat me this way, or I will not stay here, and allow this. And so many ways, but it took time, just like everything else does, because you really don't know. You don't believe it, and then when you see someone else, and I believe that a lot of people don't change because you tell them. They change because
Right.
they witness it. They witness it in someone else, and they think, "Wow, how does she do that? I want some of that. What's her thing? Like, how is she so joyful, and how did she get out?" And then they start to apply those things and integrate them because, like, knowledge is not power, it's potential power. Without action, it does nothing. Because there's a lot of people that have a lot of knowledge, but you've been around, I'm sure, people that just have a gift and they apply it. That's because they apply the knowledge and the integrate the things they've been through, and that wisdom comes through, like you. All the things you're doing and your podcasts and your grace.
Well, thank you so much.
So, I'm married now. It'll be 25 years soon. I met my husband in my 40s, and I remember I wasn't looking. I was in a great place, so happy. I didn't want to be in nothing, and he wasn't either. We were both divorced for a while, and I met his friend, and his friend said, "You need to meet my friend Tom." And I'm like, "No, I'm good." He goes, "No, no, you have to." And then he said to him, "You need to meet this girl I just met." And my husband said, "Well, what's wrong with her? Why don't you want her?" But his
Yeah.
friend was a lot younger than us and, wanted to have kids and stuff. And again, it wasn't our connection anyway. But
Right.
we met and we were married in 3 months. And it's been quite a journey, but
Found the
all
one?
wonderful, crazy.
Yeah.
But I remember the first night we went out, he said, "Do you know how special you are?" And in the past, I would have said, "No, tell me," because you're the only one's opinion that matters.
Mhm.
That's how I would have been because I didn't know or have
Mhm.
a boundary or an opinion of myself for many years. And so he said, "Do you know how special you are?" And I said, "Do you?" Because I could tell you for months how great I am, and you'll never meet anybody like me. But if you don't know it, it's not going to matter. I know it. And then, like, I'd never spoken that way, so my stomach got really scared, and I was like, "Well, I would just wanna take that back," but I didn't take it back. I stood in it,
Mhm.
and I thought, "Oh, he's not gonna like me because I'm." But he loved that I challenged him. He loved that I set boundaries. He loved that, I had my own truth, and, it just built, and
Yeah.
he wanted me to shine because I really believe that real love is not controlling, it's liberating. It doesn't, flatline you, it rises you up, and I know that firsthand, and vice versa, from me for him too. You just
Yeah.
when you really love someone, you want them to shine, you want them to be happy, whatever way it is, even if it's not with you.
How did you get from that point to where you have this great relationship where you guys are both confident and secure in who you are and what you want? How did you get there from being in these emotional abusive relationships where I imagine, I mean, certainly you have the choice to give up or to stay there versus I'm going to change and do something differently.
Yeah, I think it's like any other job. It's definitely a practice, you know? Uh, you know, um, it's an emotional muscle that you build. And even little steps, you don't have to make this huge change. If you do little things every day to love yourself and know your value and your worth, um, and listen and see the red flags and not ignore them and just go, yeah, that's not me. Like really know what you want and what you don't want. Because a lot of people know what they want, but they don't know what they don't want, and then they get caught up in this hypnotism of like, "Oh, this is great," and then because, a lot of the times when you first meet someone, we're in our best, you know, best self. It doesn't come out for a
Yeah.
couple of months, and then you're like, "Who is
Right.
this person?" You know? Um,
Mhm.
but my husband is a recovering alcoholic for over 30 years. I didn't know him when he drank, so I didn't understand alcoholism because I never was drunk. And
Mhm.
when I met him, I think he was 8 years sober. And so I wanted to know about it and learn about it. And, when you learn that it really has nothing to do with the ism, because people have addictions of drugs, sex, shopping, food, all kinds of isms. And however they numb that, with his was alcohol. Um, that's what numbs the behavior. But in his program, he got to be so steady. And honestly, I feel just by his examples that I learned to love myself even more. Not because he ever said I should do this, he never did, but how much he loved himself, how much he forgave himself, how much he made a decision and didn't look back, how much he would never allow drama or gossip in his drama-free zone. Like, he just didn't connect to it. He stayed grounded and in his um, morals, values, and principles. And that's what keeps him steady. So I was like, I would like to be
Mm.
more steady because when I read his big book,
Yeah.
I had never been drunk. And I was like, I'm an alcoholic because it's all about
Yeah.
manipulation or possessing or codependency, like all kinds of issues that I never drank, but
Yeah.
I had those tendencies.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of us just like you say, we go to different avenues. I think social media is a huge one now where you can, just skirt away from all your problems and focus on something else and let them be and sit there and then they're there when you get done.
Yeah, it's like a gift and a curse because there's so much good
Mhm.
about it, like
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
podcasts and
Absolutely.
sharing
Yeah.
events and the homes, the mental health for all that happening. And then
Yeah,
there's the part where, like you
absolutely.
said, you're just distracting yourself. And I just kept seeking, and I remember one night we had just got married, we just moved to a new state, and he just started a new job. All the things you're not supposed to do all at once, and we
Yeah.
did all of them at once.
Pile it
And we
all
only
on
knew
there.
it, and we only knew each other 3 months. So he was not really liking the job, I guess, and he was coming home and he was just acting so different, like I didn't recognize him. And I said, "What's the matter with you?" And he got like, he's a very big guy, so he has a lot of energy. And so he kind of raised his voice, which he never did. And he went, "What? You married an alcoholic. Get over it." And I was like, "What?" And I remember my therapist saying no, because I had a great therapist that I would talk to. And, again, I was in my 20s. And she'd say, "You didn't marry an alcoholic. You married a recovering alcoholic. There's a difference." And
Mm.
and so I kind of just got quiet. And at that time, I still had a lot of anxiety. And I never wanted people to know because when my mother was sick, I don't know what she had, but everyone thought she was just crazy, like mentally ill and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
She was in a hospital, and I I didn't, know what any of that meant and if I was going to turn out that way. And I was afraid to tell anyone that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And back then, nobody talked about, like, even just recently, it's
Yeah, you did not talk
mainstream.
about it. Let's pretend like it's not there. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you had to pretend so long that you were okay. But like I said, you can't fake frequency. You can see it that someone's uncomfortable. And so, I was just kind of thinking, wow, this is weird. And, I don't understand why he's this way. And I guess I have to try and understand it. And then he went, "What's wrong with you?" It's like 3 days later, what are you, what? Yeah, because I was quiet and I just went, "Listen,
Yeah.
"You married an anxiety person. Get over it." And I said the same thing
Yeah.
he said, and he just burst out laughing because that was the first time we really became real to each other. Because again, we only knew each
Mm.
other 3 months
Mhm.
and we were still holding back who we really were because we thought, oh, they won't love me. They won't love me. But when you really show up as yourself and you don't have anything to lose, and I didn't, I had a great job. I took care of myself. My daughter was raised. And you know what? This is it. But I was always afraid to say it. And I said it, and he burst out laughing. He was like, "Oh my God, you're just like me." Like, meaning I was afraid too, you know? And then we just
Mhm.
started to help each other. Like, we would call each other on stuff. And in the past, if someone would say, "Oh, you're doing that," or something, you go, "Oh my God, no, I'm not. You're doing it." And you kind of get defensive. But we were both at a place where
Yeah.
we would go, "Oh, am I? Oh, I hate doing that. Thanks for calling me on it." And we helped each
Mhm.
other see those things, and we didn't judge each other, and we didn't keep talking about them. It was a moment, we went through it, and you get over it. But I think a lot of people are afraid to do it and afraid to really show up like themselves because they won't be lovable, and you're so lovable. You're perfect, and the perfect person, if that's what you want, is waiting for you. And you're already whole and complete. you know um There's so many things out there now, like do this, do that, learn this, learn that. My God, there's so much stuff. Like you couldn't possibly, it's exhausting to like take this vitamin, take that
Yeah.
vitamin, do. And
Right? Which do I do? Everybody says this is the fix for me. Right.
yes, and I think that's when, you can really get quiet. And again, if it's around the horses or wherever, and just allow that download to come, and you'll know which one to choose. And you'll choose it because you choose the right teacher, or you choose the right uh for you, because we're all different and we all are everything. People will say, "Oh, you're so kind, you're so sweet, Madison, you're so gentle." I am, but I'm also a force. And when I access that, people are like, "Oh my God, like I've never seen you like this." And I'm like, "Well, we all have it. It's dormant. But if someone was going to hurt your dog or your horse, God forbid, you'd find it, but we choose not to. We choose love. We choose peace. We choose joy. We choose gratitude, and everything is a choice every day. How we show up, and who we and how we want to live, I believe, and what we want in our life. And I think peace and joy is so much more exciting than being
Yeah.
exhausted. And money, I know
Yeah.
everybody, it's like money, but I've known a lot of people with, unlimited amount of money that didn't want to live anymore. It
Yeah.
didn't save them, so,
Right.
you
Yeah.
can
And
find.
I love what you said about choice too, because I think a lot of times we're very quick to give away our choice to make ourselves believe, this is just who I am, or life can't be any different. And really, that's where so much of our power lies, if we're willing to kind of take that back and say, yeah, this has been my choice. I have choose to live this way that I don't like, and now I'm going to choose something different.
Exactly, and that's what a lot of people would say to me, because when I started to grow, you know, it's like a thermostat. Um, say you're at 68, and you turn it up to 72, and all of a sudden the people you hang with are like, "You're different, you're changing." And you don't wanna disappoint them, you don't wanna let them down. They've been your friends, they've been your tribe, but you wanna grow. But they don't want you to grow because then they won't have you like they had you. So, you don't wanna hurt them, but, it's kinda like season, reason, or a lifetime. Some people are in your life for a season, sometimes a reason, and sometimes they're there forever. And it's not that you think you're better than them or anything. Your frequency has just gone to a different level, that you don't kind of resonate with each other anymore. And no matter how much you want to, it just doesn't. and they grow too, or they change, or they decide to stay where they are. There's a really good book called Good to Great. Have you ever heard of it? It's about
It sounds familiar.
what got you to good is keeping you from great. Because again,
Mm,
people get there and they go, I always did it like this and it worked.
yeah,
But
it
now,
worked.
yes, but now you have to do something else to get to the next level, something different. And you can look at it with such interest and passion if you want to, or you can look at it like, ugh, this is going to be hard, you know?
Yeah,
But like, look what you're doing. When you love what you do, you never really work a day in your life compared to like not having your own hours and going somewhere and doing something you don't really enjoy. And that also
yeah,
affects your system, your chakras, you know, when the energy comes in, like what Reiki does, like the horses do, they create conditions for health in your body because they help you self regulate it. It's not that they're doing it, it's being around that. Your system starts to feel safe and peaceful. And then when it can rebalance itself, it starts to think and talk differently. It makes better choices, eats differently, sleeps better. Um,
yeah. That makes sense if you're not compensating in one area heavily, that you can be more balanced.
yeah, it affects everything. Your liver, your
Yes.
gallbladder, kidneys, adrenals, everything. People think that, oh, it's only I'm up here in my head, but if you're not in your heart, because that's the bridge, you know, to connecting to the highest truth of yourself. When that's blocked, or unforgiveness or resentment, and forgiveness is for you. It's not for the other person. It disconnects the
Yeah.
cord that they have on you. And when you cut that cord, it doesn't mean that you have to ever see them again, or what they did was right, or not. It wasn't a terrible thing to do. It just means that you're not giving them the power over you anymore. You forgive them. Good luck. God bless you. But
Yeah.
you're not going to control me anymore, present or distant. Because even if they're not around you and you're holding on to that, they're still controlling the way you live.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about how you've seen that rebalancing take place. Where I think when we are off balance, off kilter, whatever, that's oftentimes when we hit really low points or find ourselves in a really difficult situation. How have you seen that rebalancing, or even how does that all work where people can come from that point where things are maybe very out of sync for whatever reason to a healthier rebalancing where you are being able to be more in tune with what your body and your soul need?
Um, again, I'm only speaking from my own circumstances because I know that everybody has different needs and different things that they
Yeah.
need to do. I'm not trying to say like, oh, something's wrong with them, and I know it all because I do not. But it's just
Yeah.
what I've seen and what works for me. And I think that there are people that definitely need to be on something. It's no different than, thyroid medicine or heart medicine or blood pressure medicine. If somebody really needs something that's not going over the synapse in the brain so that they can think correctly and things like that. But I
Yeah.
believe a lot of the times it's just learned behavior, and it's abusive behavior, or it's trauma, or it's, that's the way it's always been, and they have no other reference point. And I think a lot of the times when
Yeah.
people get on the table, um, you know, uh, I wait because everybody that's in a, I give them time to decompress because I think most of the healing is unburdening when they can share something that they don't tell anyone outside. that they just like they either start crying and they say, "Oh, I'm in this situation or this happened or that happened," but they don't really show it. Like we said, they have the masks up. I'm good, I'm okay. But when they come into the studio, they can let their guard down because they know it's not going anywhere else but between me and them and I. And so they share a little bit. And when they can get on and you can start to work with them, like they have no other reference point but what they know. And that's the thing. Most people only know what they know. Like people will say, like, you're this
Yeah.
way. Like, no, I'm not what you think of me. You're what you think of me.
Mm,
I know what I am, but you're thinking of me because that's your reference point. That's what you see in me
yeah.
because that's what you know. It's kind of like people that lie. They think everybody lies because that's what they know. That's what their parents did, and they talked about people, and then they didn't in front of their face or whatever it
Mhm.
was.
Yeah.
So when you work with the chakras, um, are you familiar?
A little bit.
The There's many chakras everywhere on your body, your hands, your fingers, everywhere, but there's seven very central ones down the front of your body, from the top of your head and to the pubic, like right below your pubic bone. And each one is where, like, the Reiki comes in, or the energy, whatever people kind of energy work they do through the endocrine system, you know, and it filters in and communicates and inserts to those chakras. And each chakra um, correlates to organs in your body. So sometimes, you'll start to work with someone and they'll say, "Oh, my hips are so tight and my shoulders are killing me." And they've been getting UTIs. So right away, I'm like, this sounds like trauma because that's all second chakra. And second chakra is, you know, where you create a life, where you have boundaries or no boundaries, when you can have been sexually abused or anything. Um, it can be not being wanted, guilt because you feel like it was your fault. You allowed it or something. Uh, but, there's a lot of times, especially if you're a child and you've been overcome, that you didn't allow it. You had no choice, you know, and
Right.
it affects your hips, your shoulders, your gynecologic area, and people go, how do you know? And it's not woo woo, it's just science that we've learned, or your grounding chakra. People will come in and go, "Oh, I hate my job so much," and their car broke down, and their family's a mess, they're not getting along. And I'm like, this is all first chakra because that's your family. It's your job, your financial stability. Uh, you know, um, if you look at Catholicism, like the seven sacraments, it's kind of the same thing. Like they'll talk about your first um, sacrament is baptism, and you come in, and it's your tribe, it's the people that are going to take care of you, it's family, and that's your grounding chakra. That's how you feel grounded and safe. First chakra, same kind of thing. Second chakra is communion, you know, and second chakra is communing with someone else, creating a life, creating an idea, creating a podcast, whatever it might be. Um, and then confession. We all had those gut instincts, and we're affirmed. Like, I knew it. I knew it, and I still went down that road. And I knew that I shouldn't have went, but we don't listen to it because we don't trust it. And that's the most powerful part, your third chakra, solar plexus, power center, um, uh, confirmation. It's your confirmation area. And so many of us don't trust it. And when you learn to put all these together, because they go up, and the heart especially is the bridge from the lower chakras to the upper chakras, because the lower are physical and the upper are spiritual. And when you can combine them all and realign them, you just I've seen people's life change like you can't even imagine. When I met Dave and Kathy, and I'm sure that they won't mind me speaking of them, um, I met Dave at the ranch, and they were there for weeks, and he worked with those horses, and him and his friend both came, and they weren't in great places,
Yeah.
with the PTSD and all that. And it changed their life. They left taking horses back and then created this
Yeah.
whole, yes, and he also came to me, I think every week for Reiki, to my studio. And it was a beautiful exchange because it's an exchange. It's not me. Like I'm getting it as much as you're getting it. Because when you're just the vessel for it, whatever he gets, he needs, and whatever I get, I need. But we don't get stuff from each other. It just comes in. And I'm just the vessel. If that makes sense. It's hard to explain.
Hmm.
It kind of defies definition,
Yeah.
just like the horses. It's
Right.
real. It really needs to be experienced. And I would say to anyone out there, if you can do your research and find a really great acupuncturist or a really wonderful Reiki person, um, go for it. It's something, that you do for a little while at first so that you get rebalanced. And then you can go seasonally just for maintenance so that you don't
Mm.
relapse. It's no
Hmm.
different than taking your vitamins or going to the gym. Like it's just a different way. It's medicine, and it's medicine without side you know, um,
Yeah.
just like the horses are. It is medicine. I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
And I think that rebalancing and realignment is something that really does, like you've said, it changes your life. And yeah, like you said, that's something that the horses can also do is help you see the places where you're out of balance, where you need to adjust and look inward a little bit and maybe even get some answers from them while you're out there with them, pondering on it and thinking on the experiences that you're having.
Well, it helps you. Again, it's nothing you don't know. You just remember. Because we've all come in and we have all this wisdom and knowledge, like just your eyeball, like the amount of stuff that your peripheral vision picks up all day long and you don't even realize it
Mm,
into the
mhm.
subconscious. Like we have so much information, but we only use like this small part of it. And when you're around the
Yeah.
horses and you're feeling that peace, and my experience with people that are resisting it and in a really bad place, they're always exhaling. They're always puffing out. And when I see them take a deep breath, that's when I know they're ready. When they're on the table and
Mm,
when they inhale, I'm like, oh, they're ready to receive. They're starting to allow it, because
mhm.
they're taking life in, they're taking oxygen. That's why a lot of people smoke. Smoking is a stimulant, but they think it's a relaxer, but it relaxes you because you're going and you're taking in all this oxygen while you're taking in smoke. It's crazy, but
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about the work you're doing now and yeah, give us a little bit about how you got connected with hold on, Samson's Strength Sustainable Veteran Project. And yeah, let's even talk a little bit about part of why we're here, which is the campaign that they're doing in May for Horses for Mental Health.
yes, again, stuff kind of just shows up for me. I didn't plan this. I didn't even, I haven't been around the horses in a while. And we moved here to New York in November, and it was in the mountains, in the Catskills, 10 feet of snow for months.
Wow.
It was rough. But it's
Yeah,
so
that's a lot.
beautiful. Oh, it's beautiful up here though. But I kept thinking, okay, so now I had closed my studio. I don't know anyone here. Um, and what do I want to do next? So I I was thinking, oh, I'd like to find some horse farms. They have the hits here. It's this huge horse show. Like everybody comes to it. It's humongous, and they're
Mm,
mostly show horses and dressage and stuff. So
mhm,
that's not what I was kind of looking more for. Horses that they have that help autistic or PTSD or that kind of type of ranch. And it's been so cold, I haven't really found it, but everybody's saying, you're going to find it here. You're going to find it. And then I get this text from Kathy, and she's like, hey, do you know anyone that wants to? And I'm like, well, I would love to. And she's like, you would? Would you do it? Because, you've been around them. And I'm like, yeah, I would love to, but what do I have to do? Because, I'm not really connected to a lot of horse people yet. But again, then it
yeah,
just starts happening. I meet 2 people the other day, and they're like, "Oh, I know 2 people. I'll send you the information with a ranch." And so, that just might be. But even in massage, I was waitressing, like, way into my, early 30s, from 15 years old, and I really
mm,
believe that everyone should do it, because I'll tell you, what you learn in service is service, and you can go anywhere and work in any kind of job because you learn how to read a room, you learn how to read body language, you learn how to understand every different type of customer and what they need and how to deliver it, and whether it's verbally or food. you know um and I remember, again, I was off and on, not like years in between, but I'm like, oh, I'm just kind of feeling depressed. And I was like 39. And I went to see a therapist, and she said, like, what's going on? I said, oh, I just feel, like I'm getting older. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't want to be doing this the rest of my life because now all the people I'm working with are like high school kids, and I just feel
yeah,
so out of place. And she said, well, what would you want to do if you could do whatever you want? And I said, I'd like to go to massage school. She said, well, I could help you with that. I could get you a grant. Because she said, feeling depressed gets you like qualified. I'm like, what? And she changed my life. She got me enrolled in
mm,
school. And again, I didn't have a car till I was 30 years old. I took the bus everywhere, got my daughter to daycare, picked my daughter up, never missed a meet of her running track or anything, but all on foot, you know, um, and had people saying they'd help me with a ride. So that's how massage school came about. And now I this horse I've been wanting, and it's always kind of been like right there. I miss it right there. But I guess it's just not the moment yet. I think I still have some more knowledge to learn and stuff, because I don't really know. I mean, I knew the anatomy because I'm a massage therapist, and they have many is the same as humans, the muscles and things.
mhm,
And the energy and the meridians they love, so I knew that, but I don't know the language of the barn, and there is language. I've never been grown up on a farm, and I've never grown up around farm people or anything, and so I've always felt a little insecure about asking if I could go because they are very coveted with their loving animals. And, I guess I felt like I didn't really have the credentials to ask, and that's why I was so blessed with the DLR Mustang Ranch when they offered. So
yeah, that's
so,
awesome.
yeah. And so then Kathy called and asked, and I said yes, and then she said, "Oh, I want you to be on Shalisa's program because, we're doing the May campaign." And, I said, "Okay." And, uh, I said, "I'm a little nervous." She said, "Oh, she's so lovely, and she'll tell you just come from your heart." And
Mm,
so, but, she's such a
absolutely.
lovely woman, and Dave too. They're such wonderful people
Yeah, they're
and
great
so
people.
caring. Yeah. So
Yeah, and another really great example of just how they took a really difficult hardship they went through and they've created, like we kind of talked about a little bit before, just this beautiful organization that is literally saving people's lives who go there, and the really neat thing is that this is happening all over the world. I think that's one thing the Horses for Mental Health campaign is highlighting is like, hey, there is this other way that you can also get that help, get that rebalancing, and maybe it will be for you and help you, and maybe it won't, and that's okay also. But to just let people know that the horses are there, and I think as we both experienced, there's something to just being in their presence that really helps us as humans to kind of find that rebalancing, have some of those insights, and even recognize character traits or habits or conditioned responses that we can work on changing to make our lives better.
Yes, and it's available, and I really believe it's getting stronger. I mean, it's
Yeah,
blowing up in a good way. Like, I really believe it because people are starved for this. They're so tired of just taking a pill and kind of not feeling really any better or not changing those patterns that are keeping them in the
yeah,
same place. They're just not feeling so irritable about it because they numb part of it, but they're not really getting to the root of it. And that's the beauty of this work. That I mean, have you seen the movie The Rescued Hearts?
I haven't seen it yet. I've just seen, I think, a clip of it.
I swear to you, I watched it and I felt healed just watching it.
Mm,
Like,
wow. Yeah,
because
that's beautiful.
I was going through like the move and just like, oh my gosh, how am I going to start all over again? you know, and but I've been here before and I know that life cycles and the wheel goes up
Yeah,
and the wheel goes down and it will. And
yeah,
the the film came on and I watched the whole thing. I couldn't even move and I just was like, gosh, and I want to say high. I've never felt high, so I don't know, but I felt so
yeah.
elated in the most beautiful way just by
Mm,
viewing it. I felt healed.
mm-hmm.
It's so beautiful.
Wow.
It's so beautiful and the way they did it. So I hope you get to see it soon because you'll love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely will, and that is another neat thing. I just talked recently to a photographer that, has an account on Instagram and shares a lot of her beautiful work, and she was even saying, yeah, she's had people come back to her, and just that image that she shared with them of a horse has been something that, gave them the insights, changed their life, helped them keep going forward when things were really hard. So, I would say it doesn't even have to be immediate access. You don't have to have horse ownership. There's definitely lots of places that would love to volunteer, um, to have people come in and just help them out with the horses, and like you kind of alluded to, it's just finding the right fit for you, and so there are
Yeah.
lots of opportunities out there to connect with the horses for sure.
Yeah, you're right. And through the picture, especially because it's energy. And when she took that shot, whatever was going on in there, it's there in that still. And when you look at it and you see it, you can feel it because, like it's frequency, even if it's in a picture.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
again, it's feng shui. When you can create those kind of things around you that make you feel good too, like whether it's too much clutter or having something that reminds you of driving force like a horse, the strength of them, you know, and the gentleness. See, they have
yeah,
both,
yeah,
you know? They're
yeah,
powerful, but
yeah,
they're so kind and gentle too. Yeah, and loving
yeah.
and
Really
and they
beautiful
love
examples for our lives.
yeah, and they wanna be loved, and they wanna love, like, you know, um, so many people, it's so hard for them to receive, but you really rob someone of the joy they get when they wanna do something from you, when you go, "Oh, it's good, I got it. You don't have to," or, "Why did you go
Mhm.
do that?" Instead of
Yeah,
just going, "Wow,
it's
thank you so
true.
much. That was so lovely of you." You know?
Yeah,
And they get that feeling
yeah,
that fills them up. So,
yeah, yeah. To wrap up a little bit, can you tell people if they would like to connect with you, how they would be able to do that?
I have a Facebook page, Madison Massage Alchemist, um, and they can message me through there if they'd like to. You know, I'm always open to talk or speak to anyone or FaceTime them or anything. Um,
Yeah.
Again, there's so much, that to put into like an hour and so many minutes,
Yeah, there really is. Mhm.
and it kind of like gets off track. But when you work with people, you can help them find their strength because it's in there.
Yeah,
It's in there. They've just been told it's not, or
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for the beautiful message you shared and even sharing your story. Just, I love the idea you said that we're not fragile, just that we can be courageous and strong and overcome if that's what we choose to do with our lives. And I think that is something that we can all use in our lives, especially when we're kind of feeling down on ourselves, feeling like, why me? And just knowing that those are the places we can go to that are going to teach us lessons to be able to move forward in life and to improve our life. So I really appreciate you sharing your story and
So,
sharing the
so
insights and the wisdom that you have gained.
thank you so much. I really appreciate you too so much.
Thank you for joining us and learning about horses that heal and the humans who help them. We hope you'll continue with us on this journey. We'd love for you to subscribe on your favorite platform and follow The Touch of a Mustang on any of the major social media outlets. Please share with your friends, anyone who loves horses, or anyone who might be struggling and could benefit from this message. If you have felt the healing power of horses or help them in their divinely appointed mission, please reach out. We want to hear your story. As we say goodbye, always remember that the horse is always there to help you heal.